All right, we are live. Is this the West Coast feed?
This is live in the West Coast. Yeah.
What up? This is Fired Up Friday. I'm Rick in studioUSA. I got Wayne here.
There we go.
What's up, brother?
What's up, man? How are you?
Better late than never.
Yeah,
eh?
it is. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, wherever you might be. So this is awesome because I was waiting till the last minute to call you, and then you called me first,
Yes.
which was killer.
Love it.
So yeah, I'm off the hook. So now, what were you doing this morning?
This morning I was supposed to. It got postponed next week, but NAR is on a mission to help a lot of the agents with some mental health. Right? How do we
I can't
do
imagine
well?
why.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, you're kind of the guy for this, so we're gonna bring you in. So we're gonna record that next week, and that'll be great.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll take that as, me being sort of the least spiritual person in the room on many levels. But I will take that as a divine intervention that I had something scheduled that then you had something scheduled that enabled my scheduled event to actually happen, and then yours got rescheduled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's the
Yeah.
the
I like
universe is looking out for me. So how are you doing as far as like your mental health? Okay, like because they brought you in.
That's it. Hey, it's one of those chances. Like it was funny last year when or 2 years ago when I was really going through my stuff personally, and somebody mailed me my own book. I thought that was.
I am reading. I am reading the book too, by the way.
Are you practicing what you've preached? Right. So yes.
You're like, hey, you might want to check
Yeah.
out this book.
Yeah.
You're like, bitch, that's my book.
We all need it.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, this morning was particularly chaotic for me. Like I was saying like 10 seconds ago before we got the countdown, I fully concede that they are princess problems and that I am absolutely having problems in areas where I didn't used to have areas.
Yes, exactly.
And so to be able to maintain that while still trying to keep my composure, it's a double whammy. And the truth is, we've been busier in the last 3 days.
Yeah.
If it had been that busy all year long already, I might be like, oh, we're coasting for the rest of the year. But I would have already lost my mind.
Yeah.
And one of the things, before we get to we'll get a topic, just a rando. But one of the things is, so like Cruz, whom you know, he texted me this morning, hey, is this, that, and the other thing happening on the back end yet? And it's like, well, dude, that was a conversation that I mentioned in passing that we'll probably be doing this thing. So the idea that I mention it once and then it's already institutionalized and formulated and everybody knows their role on the back end, well, that's not how it works. Yeah. And so my question to you as the wise old owl and coach would be, whenever you have somebody like that where it's like they see the growth on the horizon and they can feel that, how do you let them know, like, oh no, it's about to get harder, not easier?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's one of the things we talked about. It was funny. I did a talk yesterday with Lance out in South Lake. But one of the things we talked about was one of the tough conversations you need to have with your people is like, here's where we're going. Like, it's going to be worth it, and it's going to be tough. So, like, here's the price we're going to have to pay. Are you willing to pay that price? And some people aren't, and that's okay. We just need to let them go and find those who are. But I think it's about being the transparency. Like, this is going to be tough. Here's what it's probably going to take. It's probably going to take even more than that. Like, the reward's going to be awesome, but, like, are you in or not? And I think that comes back to goal setting, too. Like, how often do we set a goal without really – and I think especially some of the companies I've been part of in the past, it was like, think big, just go big and all stuff. But I think there's a certain piece of like, hey, here's what I want. Tally what it's going to take. And if you're not willing to pay that price, maybe you need to do a different approach or set a different goal. Like, I don't think it's always great to just set a big goal and just be like, I'll figure it out. Somebody's going to go, okay, here's what's required.
Even though that's how life usually unfolds for me, it's like, oh, this is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Or it's often the goal is not self-evident.
Yeah.
Or the goal isn't what I think it is.
Yes.
And now for me, in the macro, my goal is just to keep the ball in play.
Yeah.
It would be like infinite game.
Right.
To throw one of the current hustle porn buzzword catchphrases out there. The infinite game where it's like, I'm not working towards a specific thing. I'm just working.
Right.
And then all these things kind of pop up. How do you actually relate to that in as much as, okay, that's not something that like we could quantify and track in that like, okay, we just want to stay in business and we just want to see what happens.
Yeah.
Because do you allow for that in the coaching world?
Absolutely.
To be like, it's one of those where you get to it's like, oh, that's a run defense. And let's call an audible and throw the ball, Because for me, a lot of what happens is I think I'm going this way, or I think I'm going west, and it turns out, oh no, we're actually going northeast. How about them apples? You know. And I used to pick the wrong hill to die on, or I used to think, well, no, this was my original thing. If I don't stick to the original thing, I suck. Or something's flawed. And now
sometimes you need to let go of something, and sometimes it's hard to figure out because like one principle is like never give up. On the other side, it's like sometimes you need to realize something's not going to work out. You need to get like so. There's all these like polarized like that seem paradoxes that make sense, but it is tough. And I think that what we're seeing there too is as you're going through, like I'm committed to the outcome, or I'm committed to the why, but I'm negotiable kind of on the how.
Oh, I like that.
Right. So here's the thing I think that makes the biggest difference for most leaders is doing effective reflection upon the way. So looking, like one of the things we did this, right, we're just coming in the second quarter, is I had people go back and look at the first quarter. One of the things I asked them to do is like, look at your calendar for the first quarter. What are the things that were great you want to do again? What are things that weren't so great that you don't want to do again? And what do you need to, evaluate or tweak? But I think that we don't do enough healthy, intentional reflection, and we're doing a lot of haphazard, fly by the seat of our pants reflection. And that causes us to feel like frustrated or overwhelmed or confused or chaotic.
I can confirm.
Yeah.
So I'm currently in the season of chaos where it is building the plane in midair. And again, princess problems fully acknowledged. I'm in, there's a pea under my mattress, like way down there somewhere. Isn't that thing like the princess in the pea?
Sure.
Follow me for more obscure fairy tale references that may or may
kids
not
books
be,
that hopefully, dear God, nobody writes.
That may or may not even be real. Or that might be, they might need writing.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where, like I said, I'm grateful to be where I am right now and to have the chaotic situation, but that doesn't make it any less chaotic, And like this morning was just nothing but all hands on deck, aside from the presentation. And it's weird too, where it's like, I like certain things that other people hate. And like, obviously you're an excellent public speaker. So it's like, you like that. Did you like that at the beginning? Were you like, oh, this is awesome. This is kick ass. I love doing this.
I think it was mostly scared most of the time. So yeah.
Now is that something, because for me, it would have been where, yes, I was absolutely ate up with anxiety and a little bit of imposter syndrome, but a lot of times I was just doing the dog and pony where it's like a 2-minute commercial. So I'm really just kind of throwing facts and figures or whatever. But there was, once I got to the point where I'd done it enough where it's like, okay, this isn't fatal. And then it's like, oh, I kind of like this. And then now I've noticed, me personally, that the more skins I've got on the wall, and like this morning, so I'm doing the presentation to a very high powered office of agents with luxury agents and, in Uptown, and it's in Uptown,
right?
So we got the vibe. But what I'm bringing is real. You know what I mean? And so, like, did you have that, like, where all of a sudden it's like, well, I am really real on what I'm doing and what I'm saying, and that makes it easier?
Yeah. I think that people underestimate the work that they need to put in to feel confident. Most people think it's just like a head game, like, oh, I just need to tell myself 100 times that I got this. It's like, you need, like you said, you need to get some skins on the wall.
Yes.
Right? People are like, man, I'm feeling insecure. And I'm like, you kind of should. Like, you suck at this. You know what I mean? Like, but like, go do it 500 times, and then you feel like we build confidence. We don't just like pick it up because we had enough caffeine that day.
Amen.
Right? So like, what do you got to do to build it, and then putting yourself in intention? And that's why we do like suggest role playing and coaching and all this other good stuff. There's places you can build it that are safe, and you can learn a lot and practice everything else. But at the end of the day, like, people are waiting for it to just like feel that way, and it comes from doing the work and getting better and reflecting.
100%. It's not building confidence; it's gathering evidence. And it's like, okay, well, once I've done this 100 times, I'm no longer curious as to whether or not I can do it. Now, I might suck at it. It might be, I might need to pivot and do something else. But it becomes a situation where, like, I've done this. And even in the world, if I bring it into, like, the world of recovery or whatever, that first early bit of sobriety or that first early, okay, I've turned over a new leaf or whatever. And I got guys that are like, I feel like a worthless piece of crap. It's because you are. It's like, like. You
should feel like crap.
Yeah, you should feel awful, and you should feel like a bad person, because all leading indicators are that you are, and you now ended up to where you need to basically like unscrew your life. And so how about we start there? And then, the old gimmick is always, well, if you want self-esteem, do esteemable acts.
Right.
Yeah. And it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I think the flip side is also true, where it's like, oh, I can't. Well, then you probably won't.
Right. Yeah.
And that's okay. Yeah. Step aside. There's probably somebody that will. So one of the things I said this morning, because you'll have 30 or 50 people in the room or whatever. Yeah. And 2 or 3 of them will want to, or actually most of them will want to, and then 2 or 3 will really kind of be interested. Yeah. And what I said was, hey, if y'all don't want to participate in your own marketing and branding and success, hey, that's fine. Yeah. Just know that there are folks at Champions right this minute that don't know their ass from third base about real estate, but they're going to be good on camera and they're going to be good with content, and they're going to pass you up, and you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
And here you are, seasoned / veteran / whatever you want to call yourself, and you're not going to pull the trigger because of whatever fill in the blank reason. And hey, that's fine. Human nature is what it is. But it's that, it's for the folks that do it, not who want it.
Well, and it's like there are people, I love the quotes, like there's people out there that are less talented than you, that have less than you, that are doing more than you because they're just taking action.
Yes.
Right? So it's like there are people out there that are less qualified than you, less talented, less whatever, right? Less support, all stuff, and they're doing better than you because they're taking the action. Right? But I think here's one thing you kind of talked about a little bit. Right now, you're hitting a little bit of complexity ceiling. Right? So it's like, hey, I've got it all dialed in when at this level of complexity, but you add on this level, and it exposes the gaps.
Bro.
Right? And my best analogy on that, I was talking with another client about this morning. It's imagine you had a container ship that every day went from one side of the Great Michigan Lake, whatever, to the other side, or whatever that lake's called, right? But imagine it was it took 2 tons of stuff across all the time, right? It goes 2 tons, all good. But then one day it realizes, wow, actually on the side of the ship it says 6 tons, and it goes, man, I'm actually a 6-ton ship. I've been doing 2 tons. I could triple my this is amazing. So it puts 6 tons on, but then all of a sudden it's sitting deeper in the water. And when it sits deep in the water, it exposes a bunch of holes around the edges that they were always there, but they weren't exposed because it sat high, right? So it's kind of like what you're experiencing. You can do it, but when the pressure's on a little bit, right? There's these little holes exposed. Oh, I got to dial in our communication. We can't communicate on 4 different platforms. Okay, we need to dial in communication. Okay, the way that we handle emails got to get a little bit tighter. Okay, how we do this, right? Oh, we need a forum for this. Oh, we need to sit so it's the complexity ceiling that causes us to mess up. Most people that go, they say things like, oh, I'm just not meant to this, or I'm just not meant to be a leader. It's usually the complexity ceiling that's getting them. So it's what do we need to put in place to help get through that, so we don't just rush back to
and that is, dude, it's you just opened, you just looked into my soul, where. This morning, it's okay, so we've got all these moving parts. We've got virtual assistants. We've got editors. We've got all these things. And it has been just sort of not only make it up as you go, but also add or subtract as necessary versus any sort of, what you're saying, overarching thought towards the complexity.
Right.
And I will freely admit that I operate under the, well, if that happens, that's a good problem to have. However, the caveat of that statement, while it is true, it also indicates it will be a problem.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a matter of oh, okay, now we're here at the good problem to have.
Right.
Which now what?
And which are good problems to have? They're all good in a sense. And yet, which ones are we creating that don't necessarily need to be created? Right? There's going to be enough. I always think about there's going to be enough things to happen that we can't control. We better get pretty good at the stuff that we can control.
Now, do you think it is something that you can see without the benefit of hindsight? Because I can look back and realize oh man, if we'd have had X, Y, or Z right there, oh man, we probably, because we got up to 100 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden we had to pivot and drop down to 70 and recalculate, reconfigure. Yep. But if we'd have had X there, we might have just hit that at 100 and kept going.
So I think one of the 3 reasons people fail is because they can't see around the corner, right? They can't see. So that's the benefit of coaching, though, right? Or mentorship. I remember I got a call with this client a couple of days ago, new client, and I'm going, if you stay on this track, here's where you could hit. And it's their eyes got big, and they're oh, shoot, you're right. right? And like I probably saved them a year and a half of pain and suffering just in this one conversation we had, because I can see around the corner. Because I'm like, hey, we can do this lots of different ways, but this is the trajectory you're probably on, because I've seen this happen, 150 times.
Yeah.
You can choose the options, but like, let's lay out, here's the other 3 options that could navigate this better. And literally in that conversation, it probably saved them, people go, what's the power of coaching? It literally probably saved them a couple $100,000 and a year and a half though of pain, because the way the trajectory they're on was not going to play out well. So like, so we need people to help us see around the corner.
Yes. And like there, I could use, it's like, and I'm in such like a weird niche of business that it isn't, it's not ubiquitous. It isn't, like with agents and brokers or whatever. It's a pretty tried and true business model.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that are just universal in there. But on this side of the, I hate to say content creation, but in that digital marketing and content realm, there's not really a pat formula that works for everybody. And what I'm trying to do is kind of hit that XY axis between being systemized and sort of factory style, but also serving to be individualized.
Yes.
Where, so for example, like if you came in to do something, we would figure out like, okay, what's Wayne's personality? Let's match what's on the label with what's in the can, and then go. So like that automatically derails from any kind of factory style.
Yeah. So here's the beautiful thing, and I love to use that word, because there's a book, if you haven't read it, it's a great book, Predictable Success. And what it talks about is in the beginning you have the fun phase, and the fun phase is like all hands on deck, right? Like grab a camera and go, like we'll figure it out, right? But then you eventually go like, we need to have. In order to have predictable success, we need to have some systems. We need to have some process. We need to have some, like, this is the level of quality. Okay, where do the files go? How do we communicate, right? Right. So, but in order to go from fun to predictable success, you have to go through whitewater. And right, and we keep hitting whitewater at different levels, but whitewater is where you're at right now. And whitewater is like, we don't want to get so rigid that we get cold and die, but we've got to get some things in place. We got to have some sort of checks and balances and time cards and whatever those things are. So what you do in whitewater is, this is where you have to go. Every frustration is an indication. Okay, so I was ticked off the blah, blah, blah. Okay, what's that an indication of? And one of the best things you can do in whitewater is, instead of blaming the person, start blaming the process. What caused us to not get that done? What caused us to not get taken care of? And you evaluate the process, not necessarily the person, if that makes sense.
Oh, no, I love that.
But that's the way you look at it. You go like, what are the frustrations? And instead of just what most high achievers do is we just take medication. We're like, right? It's like, I overbooked, I'll figure it out, right? We just power through, right? Instead of like, you keep overbooking, right? Like, what's the process or the system that you need to place? So let every frustration be an indication.
I love
to
that.
do an investigation and then medication. Because if we just go frustration, medication, that's malpractice.
Dude, it would appear that you might know something about, like,
first time.
Yeah. You're like, dude, I still made that up. Like, damn. All right.
Yeah.
Right on, bro.
Yeah.
Well, that was exactly what I needed to hear.
There you go.
So should we riff on something live?
There you go. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. We are going to consult the Oracle.
Ooh, there we go.
And I love talk to text.
Yes.
So, except, is it just me or does Siri suck more on a daily basis?
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, or do I just have mush mouth? It's like, am I just like the world's worst orator? I don't know.
No.
Not the worst. Yeah, statistically, I couldn't.
It's Siri's the issue. Yeah, let's blame her. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Give us a topic for a business and entrepreneurial podcast hosted by 2 men that focuses on mindset, motivation, and drive. Provide a famous quote from a world-renowned business person, as well as a topic and an action item for today.
Dang.
How was that?
That was good, I think. We'll see what it comes back with. By the way, one of my clients has while that's typing, one of my clients has a phenomenal AI training tool to use with ChatGPT. Remind me, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
If anybody else wants it, let me know. He has where you go in there and you can actually dial in your persona. And he's got this workbook. And I was like, man, Larry, you were giving way too much away here. It's incredible. So anyway, if anybody wants to, let me know. It's awesome.
Okay, so I may be one of the hidden kings of prompt.
Did you break the internet?
Well, no, this literally just gave us a full show. Like it is, I might be even like kicking out a logo here in a second. So I think we might have something to do on Mondays now.
There you go.
Mind Fuel, igniting your entrepreneurial spirit.
Ooh.
So stay tuned for Mind Fuel Mondays, courtesy of ChatGPT. So, but here, so our famous quote for today is, "Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do." And that's from Steve Jobs. What did he ever do?
Yeah.
Okay, so now the only way to do great work is to love what you do.
Okay, so here's what I call BS on. What I call BS on is I should have to love what I do in the sense of like I should have to enjoy every moment of what I do. That's the part I think people get wrong.
Amen.
Right? They think like, oh, I have to do what I love, and it's like they get that. They think that means like running in a field of daisies all day long. Like that's not what we're talking about. The way I approach that is, if you want to live an amazing life that you love, find something that ticks you off that you want to do something about. Right. So for you, it's like stop doing terrible stuff and help people like tell their story in a really powerful way.
Problem solved.
Like it ticks you off when people spend all this time or money, whatever, and it's crap. Right. Just because they didn't know how to do it, or they didn't have a good team. Right. What ticks me off in the world is people that don't see their greatness and then don't have the tools to tap into it. So I don't necessarily love every funnel I build and every and every accountability call I've ever had. Right. I mean, but I love the work. Right. I love the impact it has. So fall in love with something that lines up with your values. And I think that for most people, it starts off with like, what ticks me off in the world, or what do I want to do something about? And that's how you can find your passion.
I love it.
Love
and
the
check this
result,
out. So not only am I in tune with you on that exactly, is the whole like, oh, follow your passion. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
You know, and then there was a time where like, well, my passion was day drinking. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yes.
How do I fit that in?
Yes.
But the other topic it threw out was resilience in the face of failure, how to turn setbacks into comebacks.
Yeah.
And it's like what you're saying. Yeah. Find that pain point in the thing that you don't like. And then I'll go one further and say, while I never had an active dislike for what I do, it wasn't like, and Cruz, whenever I first told him, he was out, okay, so I rip on my guys just out of that sort of like, coach, like locker room kind of thing or whatever. I come from a world where like, if we're not busting on you, we don't really like you that much.
Yeah.
So he was doing something where he was like out on a Saturday morning, like taking pictures of cars or whatever. And I saw him post on that and he was like all serious and all into it. And I was like, wow. I was like, right on, dude. And I said, you know what? If I live to be 1,000, I will never roll out of bed going like, I want to go take photos today. And he just couldn't wrap his head around that. You know, well, dude, you own a media company and you take photos. Yeah, isn't that weird? Yeah. Funny how that happened. But the truth is, I started to love it after I got good at it.
Yes.
And there's this thing where it was presented to me. I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I liked it. And I did resonate with the creative aspect of it. However, I wasn't good at all at the beginning. And then it's this, I don't know if you find this to be true or not, but it was, for me, there was almost like a 1-to-1 ratio. The better I got, the more I liked doing it.
Yes. Well, and so going back to the passion thing, it's like you'll never, if you buy into the surface of that, you'll never do anything great because you'll stay in your comfort zone. Oh, that's hard. I don't like it, right? But like you've got to do the stuff you don't like on the way there. So I think it's true. And the other part of this is most people like do what you like, but most people don't even know who they are.
Bro.
Right? So like they're kind of trying to figure out where to go without having the compass set in the beginning. So one of the things we talk a lot about is like, it takes a lot to dial this in. How do I find something that the world needs, that I'm good at, that I can actually get paid for, right? That lines up with the other responsibilities of my life. Like that, it takes a lot to kind of dial those things in, right? Just because I'm passionate about it doesn't mean I get paid for it, right? And unless I have an unlimited, daddy fund or something, I've got to find something that pays me. So like melding those together, and I think as soon as we have to, it's like a dovetail. We got to get those things in line.
And like, in my world, there's always this invariably, and usually it has to do with like youth and being idealistic and like, oh, like my creative spirit or whatever. It's like, okay, well, Encore doesn't take creative spirit as payment for the electric bill. Right. But there's this weird melding of the intersection of commerce and creativity.
Yeah.
And there's heartbreak in there, bro.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
It's like I try to tell the guys, you know, I'm like, look, dude, there's going to be a time where this thing that you love, and now, oh my God, I get to make money. Yeah, there's going to be a time where it's either going to be not as sexy as you think, or not as lucrative as you think, or just some kind of repetitive, I won't say mindless entirely, but something that certainly does not hit your creative nerve in the right way. Now it's work. Now what? Now the thing that you would have ostensibly done as a relief from work and as a outlet valve for creative muscle, you know, flexing or whatever, now that is work. Oh boy, now you got nothing. You know, where do you go from there? And then it becomes that power through where on the other side of that, and one of the things, kind of going back to what I said about the infinite game, once I got used to the idea of, oh, this is probably never going to be easy, where I just sit, you know, in my my ivory tower. Oh, this thing is just making me insane today. Where I'm sitting in my ivory tower and there's like somebody fanning me and like feeding me grapes or whatever. And then I say, like, schedule the jobs, you know, or whatever. That's never going to happen. So the more I got into the part of, it's almost like this weird, it's very Goggins, where embrace the suck. Well,
and it's like, I don't know anyone that's ever got there and be like, oh, this is the magic place, except it's like 2 days from death. You know what I mean? Right. So like you have to embrace, like there's always going to be some beautiful struggle that you need to be part of. But here's the cool thing. If you can enjoy playing the game as much as you enjoy winning the game, life is beautiful. Meaning, like, I can enjoy leading the meeting. I can enjoy, I can find the joy in those things, knowing that the goal isn't the absence of pain. The goal is I've chosen these hard things that make me really proud of me, that get me where I'm going.
And it's so strange that there's almost no way to actually teach that, as far as it's like we can say those words, but much like in the world of recovery, where there's no way for me to tell you what 19 and a half years of sobriety is like. Whenever you're like 19 and a half minutes away from the bar or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, your life sucks and you wish it was totally different. However, being over here, I can't transmit what it took that long to get without having you go through all of that time. Same thing with the work thing on my end, where now, but the other thing for me as like the wise old owl, theoretically, but where I get to watch guys like Cruz and the rest of them come up from, you know, just like wide-eyed, like, oh my God, I take pictures for a living, you know, where it's like, okay, that's cool. You know, there's no way around that. That is cool, you know. But then to get past the jaded part, or get past the entitled part, and get past the part to where it's like, oh, okay, it never does end. It never stops. And it's like, especially if you are your own boss or entrepreneurial or like whatever, there is no pause button, you know, like all morning long I'm juggling calls and, you know, just facilitating this, that, and the other thing. And again, hindsight, I'm like, ooh, this is, I need to be measuring this, or this frustration was my indication. And it's like, okay, I'm over here kind of formulating, now what? But I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, well, it's like if you can create a life you don't need a vacation from. Like, I enjoy going on vacation, but I don't necessarily need a vacation. And I think that for a lot of people, it's sitting back down. It kind of goes like, know thyself. And like, as soon as you need somebody else's perspective on this, like, is this a time where I just need to hunker down and go through, or is this an indication that something needs to adjust, right? So like if somebody goes, I hate my schedule, like we need to sit down. Either your schedule is necessary because it's getting you where you want to go, and then you can fall in love with it because of the result it's giving you, or we need to adjust it. Like, I'm not saying it's always easy, but it shouldn't be a constant anger, a constant frustration, right? We should be able to tweak those things.
Right. Agreed. Yeah. And there is something about that pivot, you know, where you go from, well, how did you put it? Where it wasn't winning the game, it was playing the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, I love it now. Where like, yes, every day sometimes is a fresh new hell. You know, that it's like, what fresh hell awaits. But there's something else too, like having gone through what we were saying earlier about confidence comes as you build evidence. And it's like, well, I've been through a bunch of previously undiscovered hells and I've survived. And now here we are. And I love the fact that we were able to pivot this morning and just bring it back around. And now it's like the Oracle wants us to do a Monday show.
Yeah, there you go. And it's like, if I can do that, I can do this, and you pull that energy into it.
Yes, agreed. I love it. Anything? Oh, so what do you got going on? Anything you wanna like?
Man,
throw out there?
we have our training at the end of the month, which is going to be awesome. We got only one spot left for that. Yet we're doing we're teaching amazing real estate agents that are leading people how to be better coaches, how to run better team meetings, how to keep their agents motivated, how to retain them longer. All right, so we're going through all of that because most of them are learning that they want to be. I talked to a gal this morning. She's like, she wants to be a great leader of her team, and she knows that she's not 100% there. She's great at sales, but her leadership in her tool bag just isn't very full.
Right.
So the goal of those 2 days is just pack your leadership bag with like questions, school, right, tools, right, systems, process, like all this stuff, so that you can go out and rock it without taking 10 years to do it on your own.
I love it.
Yeah.
And so now they can just DM you.
Yeah, send me a message and I'll send you the information on. We can jump on a call. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
Well, dude, we rocked like a little bit over half an hour.
Very good. Happy Friday afternoon.
Yes. Let's stay fired up for the remainder of the day.
Absolutely.
And now let's revisit that Monday idea.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Put that on the back burner. All right, Peter, take us out.